Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Aeons. Welcome to Strange Aeons Radio. That's Eric Morgan.
Hello.
That's Vanessa Williams.
Good day to you.
I'm Kelly Young. Hey guys, we've been getting a lot of feedback on the whole value for value model, and most of that feedback is, I don't quite understand this value for value model.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
So I thought I would kind of try to explain it with going forward, letting everybody know that this is kind of a work in progress and we're still trying to figure it out too.
Yeah.
So in my head, the value for value model is we are putting out an hour and 20 minutes of content every week, and you are listening to that. Now, if you get some kind of value out of that, then pay it back. And that is in any way that you feel is impactful to you. Some of you might think this is the greatest thing you've ever listened to, and I got to give them money. And that's great. Hey, thank you. Some of you might go, this is not the greatest thing I've ever listened to. Vanessa is kind of annoying, but
hey, why always me?
I will like and share their posts.
Jeez.
Yeah, there you go.
So anything like that it's just whatever you want to give us, make it impactful to you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there was a long period of time where most of my life I've had no money. And so a good way for me to pay it forward to different people, like the Seattle International Film Festival, I could never afford to go. So I would volunteer and do some editing for them, or I would volunteer and help them in some other way. And that meant that I felt good about being supportive of them. And then in return, they would give me a pass or tickets or whatever it was. So, for you, that might be something like, hey, we're going to retweet when we post our episodes. That's awesome. You might want to put a big thumbs up on it. You might have, several thousand followers and you're like, hey, followers, guess what? This thing is cool. That would be amazing. Maybe you just have your mom. You just say, hey, mom, this is cool. That's great. But if there's, whatever that is for you, if that's makes sense for you financially to put money in it, that's great. We love you for it. But if you are like, hey, I just managed to blog about you, and that's the way
great.
I know. Wouldn't that be amazing? Mm-hmm. That is also amazing. So value for value isn't straight up cash, right, Kelly?
Exactly right.
But we do have most podcasters should have a link. If you go to the bottom of whatever podcast thing you're looking for, there's a link now. We just started using Buy Me a Coffee, which I changed to Buy Me a Pizza for, obvious reasons.
Oh, perfect.
I'm so happy about that. Buy me a pizza, damn it.
And that can be any amount. It just works better than PayPal. PayPal is kind of a pain in the butt, but this is a better interface. But again, we're new to this, man. We've done this for 3 years now, and we're finally going, some people seem to really enjoy it.
We just kept on getting people saying, how can I give you money? And it was like, well, why do I keep putting this off?
Yeah. Right. And my mom's been freeloading on this podcast for at least 2 months now. I think it's time. Pay up, lady.
Wow. Wow.
I can hear it through the floorboards. I know she's listening.
Also, for everybody out there, keep in mind, no pressure on you. We're not asking you to give us money. So or anything really. Perhaps what you get out of this is exactly zero.
It's like, I put it on in background noise, and they don't annoy me enough to distract me from building my house or whatever you're doing.
Press play so my animals don't feel lonely when I'm out of the house. I'm okay with that.
Hey, buddy.
Good dog.
Ooh, ooh.
Go fetch.
No, pee over there.
So, we're still trying to figure it out, and we'll get it all solidified at some point. But, hey, thank you so much to those of you who have donated and who are liking and sharing and all of that stuff.
Yeah, we got a nice one from a guy named Brian B. I didn't know if he wanted me to say his whole name.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Brian, you rock. Last episode we did the Mixing Magics episode, which I thought was a lot of fun, and a listener on the page, Whitney Treppel, had brought up that what I've been calling Mixing Magics actually has a name, and it is known as Wells' Law.
What?
From H.G. Wells.
Whoa.
And he basically says that there should only be one fantastic element in a story, and that nothing remains, this is actual quote, nothing remains interesting where anything may happen. And I was like, God damn it, HG, you are brilliant.
Damn.
Whitney, thank you so much. She had brought up as her example of that the movie Looper, which has the time travel in it, and then them killing themselves at the end. Oh, spoiler. But then also surrounded by telepaths and, of course, the Rainmaker, who's got the super high telekinetic powers. And basically, it just dilutes that main story.
Right.
And once she did that, I was like, I should have picked Looper.
You should have. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, because that was actually a good movie.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it, but I guess I don't need to now.
You haven't seen Looper?
No, it just didn't. It's someone I wanted to see, but it just never clocked in enough. But
good.
Okay, well, that makes it more interesting.
It's so funny, though, that definition, it makes so much sense to me because with Looper, all I remember is the main plot. I don't remember any of the rest of the stuff you're talking about. I know I saw it in theater. I know I liked it, but all that washed off my back.
Oh, wow. Well, speaking of good movies, you guys, I saw a very cool movie called Jacob's Wife.
I have heard good things about this recently.
Nice.
Barbara Crampton.
Okay.
And it is kind of a surprise to say, hey, the new Barbara Crampton movie is excellent because I don't feel like she's met a script she wouldn't be in for the right amount of money.
She does a lot of work.
Yeah.
She sure does.
But this one, she actually, she bought the script and had been shopping it around for herself and, just filled it with some amazing people whose names I didn't write down. It is just excellent. It is about a woman who has been kind of kept down by her minister husband. And she gets turned into a vampire and starts living life a little bigger and realizing, I really like this. And it's not what you think because they both still love each other and they have to figure out now how to deal with the fact that she is a creature of the night and loves being that.
Nice.
That sounds like such a good metaphor for that sort of middle-aged moment.
Absolutely.
That's so good. It's like suddenly, the guy has to go and get the red sports car out of nowhere. I just became a vampire, hun, but this is who I am now. Take it or leave it.
It's a nice change from the Anne Rice era of whiny vampires. Like, just go in the sun, dude. Just go into the sun.
It's fine.
Well, I really loved it. It's a rental right now. It's a cheap rental. I think it's $4.99. But the Shudder logo popped up before it played, so I have a feeling it will be showing on Shudder before too long.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my goodness. Well, I saw a film, and I think I texted you both about it, and I think you've both even seen it. The Empty Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I don't even know if we've talked about this before in any capacity. We probably have.
Yeah, that's the AM 1200 guy.
Yeah, David Pryor.
Yeah. So I had it thrown on and was ready to endure it. What a crazy film.
Mm-hmm.
I did not, if nothing else, that was the most unexpected experience that I got. I was like, has so many good elements to it. I don't know that it's like a really amazing film, but because it's based off of a graphic novel series. And I think whenever things go through that transition between like book or comic into film, there can be a lot of details that get a little bit woobly. But I really liked that it took the risks it did. It's a crazy film.
I ended up loving it. Yeah. It's almost like 3 different films in one. And the middle one I was prepared to hate. I was like, oh boy, there's going to be some kind of Slender Man story or something. And then it takes a nice little twist. Yeah. I loved it so much. I went and bought the comics.
Oh.
and was horribly disappointed.
Oh, really?
The movie is so much better.
Funnily enough, I also immediately went out and bought at least the first comic because I wanted to know if I'd like it or not. I don't know how I missed you telling us this or me this, but yeah, like I went out and got the first comic. By the way, they stopped printing them. So on certain websites, if you try to get at least one of the editions of the comics, it's like hundreds of dollars.
Oh my
Whoa.
God.
Yeah, it's stupid. You can get the movie quote unquote edition and it's a more affordable price, but it's still 20 something bucks, which I was like, this is kind of a lot for like
Yeah.
one comic, but that's okay.
The only thing that hit me a little bit is I would have liked it trimmed down a little bit. It had some, and maybe it's just the the mom I grew up with in the 80s when it switched to the final storyline. Like, I've seen this story.
Mhm.
And I was like, but it's good. It's damn good. There's nothing. It's not like Zack Snyder. Jesus, lop off 2 hours out of your damn movie. This is like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Just
Totally.
tighten it up, but
Well, except
it's really good.
the movie's called The Empty Man, and you don't figure out what that means until the third act.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I feel, yeah, exactly. There's so much good setup. You know, it's so funny that you've said there's 3 films in there, Kelly, because I kind of forgot about the first one. And yeah, that was so fucking good.
Mhm.
Like that
Yeah.
first like the first segment is so good. And then the second segment, I was like, oh yeah, now we're going into really familiar territory. Nope, guess not. Okay, actually, this
Yeah.
is very good. And creepy as hell. Like it's like
Mhm.
A24 level of creepy at times.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd made the mistake of telling my Alexa that I wanted to hear the song that was playing during one of the scenes in the movie. The soundtrack was so interesting that I
Yeah.
Shazammed it. Then I asked her to play it. Then I told her I liked it,
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
and then it showed up like out of the blue when I asked her to play my likes, and it's very subtle and everything. So it just had been playing music and everything, and then this other thing started, and I didn't even notice, and I started just going, the fuck is going on? I am feeling creeped out. And I was like, Alexa, what is this? It's blah, blah, blah from The Empty Man. I was I do not like this song.
I changed my mind.
I will only play this when I specifically want to hear it.
That's right.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you guys liked it because
yeah.
I feel like I really, really liked it, but I'm also like, man, there's so much going on. It's so complex that it's really like a lot of deconstructing that's going on.
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely worth seeing more than once.
Bad title, bad trailer.
Super bad
Bad
poster.
poster.
Yes. God, that poster is so bad. That's why I didn't watch it until you said it was good. It's like, oh, Slender Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I saw something completely different than that as I
Ooh.
continue to enjoy the Arrow streaming service.
Oh, right.
Death Has Blue Eyes.
Wow.
Directed by Nico Masterakis. I don't know, who directed this film called Island of Death, which might be one of the meanest, darkest films I've ever seen.
Oof.
And it's just brutal. I did not realize he was the director, and I never would have guessed it because watching this movie is a fun, goofy, strange film with a huge, weird sense of humor.
Oh my God.
It's Italian. I don't quite know if it's giallo, but it's in that field, and it has these 2 weird random guys who just sort of wander around doing shit, like stealing, like tricking people into stealing food from hotels and stuff. And they get busted by this lady and maybe her mom. But turns out she has weird mental powers. So she like can move things, and I think she can kind of predict the future, and she can like kill people very violently with her brain or move giant things. Sometimes it's the only thing she can't stop one time when they're being chased by a helicopter. I think it's moving too much. I can't get a hold of it to blow it up. Okay. So it was a lot of fun. And for some reason, I don't know why, the mother, after they tried to steal the hotel's, a meal in the hotel, they gave the mom's hotel room instead, who's sitting at the table right next to him. And then they hire them to be their bodyguards. Why?
Death Has Blue Eyes.
Yes.
As soon as you said that, I was going to say, is this an Italian film?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
It's
I
in-
thought too.
I believe it's in English. I don't think it was an Italian one. You know how a lot of times they phonetically speak English and then just sort of try to make it sound good. But so it's weird, but man, it's fun. Arrow continues to just put on weird shit that I'm going, okay.
I saw a movie that I wish I had seen in the theater. This is the only problem with releasing a film in theaters and on demand or whatever it's called.
Mhm.
I saw Nobody, Bob Odenkirk's new movie.
Yeah.
It's a $20 rental. It is absolutely worth the $20. And I wish I had seen it in the theater. It was so much fun. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. Christopher Lloyd is in it, and he is awesome as well. Just like a more humorous John Wick.
Wow.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I can't say enough about it, and I don't want to say anything more about it. I just had such a good time with it, and if you're waiting on it, I would say, if you and the girlfriend, you and the wife are looking for a movie, $20 is not that much, right? It's $10 a person.
Less than going to the theater.
Absolutely.
At least around here.
Yeah.
for a good movie. So
Nice.
I saw another one that really surprised me. And I bet you both have seen Promising Young Woman.
I've seen that one. Yeah, I
Eric's
talked about
outfit,
that
yeah.
on a previous episode.
Yeah. That's an
It's really good.
incredible movie.
Mhm. Yeah, I was a little surprised to see it show up in the Oscars just because it was relatively
Was it for Best
Love it.
Actress?
Best Picture.
Whoa.
I think Best Actress. And it won for Best Screenplay, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of those ones where I kept thinking it was going to go in a direction and it didn't.
Yeah.
But to the point where it was a better movie for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it had an ending that I won't say, but
that ending pissed off a lot of people too.
I bet, but it's very complex because I don't think a revenge film can end happily.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can make that. I don't know that it works in the way, like you can't make a film about nasty people and then have it be like so I had the complex feelings too, where afterwards I was like, I am so sad right now. I have to watch something happy. But it's an incredible film. I actually didn't realize it was, the lead actress. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting her name now. Eric's gonna look it
I'll
up
see
for
if
us.
I can find it, but
is it Amy Adams?
It is luckily not Amy
I mean, it
Adams.
seems like she's in every fucking movie. So.
You could take a moment and go, is that Amy Adams? But no.
Carey Mulligan.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah. And I had no idea. I'd seen the posters. I'd seen the trailer. I had no idea it was Carey Mulligan. Halfway into the film, I was like, oh, I think that's Carey Mulligan. She's just incredible. She's such an incredible actress. She's just a total chameleon who just jumps in that
in
role.
this movie, she's a friggin' chameleon,
right?
man.
Just fucking nails it. Just nails it. So check it out, but then like give yourself an ice cream after.
Oh, I like ice cream.
There you go.
And then you got to see this film.
It's a really smart take on rape revenge style films.
Yeah, it's a very neat way of addressing that genre.
So should we talk about another large one that came out this week that was not nearly as successful?
I assume you were going to sing us the song.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, unfortunately, that song is completely underutilized in the movie. That might have been a small saving grace. I think that's why, even though I haven't seen it in so long, I enjoyed the original. Because that song is so much fun and used so well in that dumb original movie that you're like, okay, this is still cool. Every time it shows up, it's like the Rocky theme. Yeah, let's go.
What movie are you talking about, Eric?
I said it, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, you never said it.
Mortal Kombat.
There you go.
Finish him.
They did have that one, sort of. Damn.
They didn't make a baby appear at the end of any battle?
You didn't see this, Vanessa?
No, I have not. I'm intending to actually probably this week, but
Well, if you don't want to spoil, I can talk about another movie.
No. I can just pretend.
It's such a deep, thick plot.
I can imagine.
So hard to see where it's going.
Right.
It was not great, but it had some moments in it that were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I could have watched that first segment with Scorpion and Sub-Zero and
man.
feudal Japan. I could have watched an entire movie of that. In fact, I much rather would have watched an entire movie of that.
It was almost a mistake to start the movie with that because it was so good
Yeah.
that it set up going, whoa, this is going to be a hell of a movie. Nope. I didn't have high expectations either because it's a Mortal Kombat movie. I mean, the first one's dumb and fun. At least I remember it being dumb and fun. The second one was not good, but this looked cool.
The trailer was incredible.
Yeah, yes.
Plus, they showed like the first 7 minutes online, and
Yeah.
I said, you know what, this looks like it's going to be great. Wow! So I had much higher hopes for
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
And I didn't realize that that new character they introduced has never been in a video game. I just figured he'd some character that has been added since I hadn't played.
yeah, because there's so many more. Like they're at what, 12 now?
I'm not sure, but they added a whole new
Huge
one
cast. Huh.
who is like superhero level powers. There's a little problem with that. Like Sub-Zero was way too powerful at times. I'm going, what do we got, an Avengers movie here? Come on. Yeah.
It would have been nice to see an actual tournament.
Yeah.
Since this is a movie based on a game that is about a tournament.
Yeah. They missed
So-
that too.
It was a letdown.
Who were they talking about doing? Because who is the character that didn't appear?
Johnny Cage.
Yeah, Johnny Cage, and they've
Johnny
got
Cage.
The Miz, the wrestler. You familiar with him? The Miz. He was also on he won one of those MTV reality shows where joined the WWE.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, and he might be a great choice because he whether he is or not, he plays an arrogant asshole wonderfully well.
Ooh.
Well, wait a second. So I'm lost in what you're saying.
The Miz, maybe if they do the sequel and they bring
Oh.
Johnny Cage in, the Miz
Oh.
might
Okay.
be playing
I
that
see.
character. So just so you know, Johnny Cage does not appear.
That Kano had some good lines, and
Yeah.
he was, the fun part of the film.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I don't know. I was entertained for a Saturday morning. I made my bagel,
Yeah.
had some bacon, and sat down to watch Mortal Kombat, and found myself on my phone a lot
Yeah.
while it was on.
I'm glad it was. I watched it the way I watched it. I'm glad I
Rather
wasn't.
than going to the theater.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
glad I was not in the theater to see this one.
Well, okay. On that horrible note, way to go,
Aw.
Eric. Bring everybody
Well, I could
down.
talk about another movie I saw where it's filled with vomiting and was actually made me feel physically ill by the time I was done.
Well,
Well, we take a
actually-
break.
One thing we might want to mention though, because there was one other
Speaking
big,
of vomit,
there was one other big thing that happened this week.
Oh,
okay.
Did you guys not see the finale, perhaps,
of Falcon and Winter Snowman.
of Captain
Captain
America
America.
and Winter Soldier?
Wow, you're gonna throw that out? That's kind of a spoiler.
It's in the opening title. they have it in their first.
Of the final episode.
Oh my god!
Well, I
Yes,
loved
I
it.
did see it. Yes,
I-
it was great.
Yes. same.
Although the John Walker character kind of comes back and kind of redeems himself, which made me feel
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
yeah, that was a little too quick and easy.
It was a quick turn. I didn't realize it was only going to be 6 episodes. That's what
Yeah.
shocked me. I thought it was going to be a tenor.
Mm.
So yeah, that was a quick turn, but I really like that arc in general. Even though it did feel fast, I was really stoked. I was like, yeah, you're complex as hell. Like, you have all kinds of shit going on. And I was excited that he's like a known entity within the universe.
Oh, yeah.
So
Was it U.S. Agent?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I recognized the outfit, and I remember some of the stuff. I just like, oh yeah, that was his name because it's not exactly a memorable
Right.
superhero name.
Right. I was thrilled to see Julia Louis-Dreyfus
Oh, man.
showing up as
Yeah.
the Countess,
Yeah,
who I would have had no idea who she was, except that for some reason, a couple months ago, I decided to start reading Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh,
from
yeah.
the 60s.
Oh,
with
wow.
Jim Steranko
Oh
drawing it.
wow. Okay.
And she is one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that comes in and then backstabs Nick Fury.
Yes.
So I'm hopeful that she will have a bigger role in this Secret Invasion,
Sure
I
looked
think, is
like it.
the next one.
Yeah, sure looked like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what the heck is happening next? Because like they've been lining them up. So
Yeah, so Secret Invasion, if it follows the comic book storyline, we'll find out that a lot of the people that we thought were heroes were actually Skrulls.
holy cannoli!
Yeah.
I don't know if I can deal with a big scroll twist.
It's a lot of Skrulls.
There's so many.
Scrolly in here.
It's just such a MacGuffin. It's like, oh, it was a scroll. Like, no, just have a plot. I can't keep doing this.
Okay, are you happy? Can we take a break?
Yes, thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.
Gooey Louie just sneezed. Look what came out of his nose. Gooey's. Pull one out, but watch out. Pick the wrong one, and he'll flip his lid. Oh no, his brains flew out. Go ahead and pick a winner. Gooey Louie by Goliath.
We have returned. Eric, this was your subgenre, and
Yes.
well, kind of explain what it is.
The idea was to try to find something that was a good horror film, more specifically because we'd kind of gotten away from that for a while. And one that didn't spawn sequels, one that didn't have remakes, one that was not, like no Halloweens, no Invasion of the Body Snatchers, because tons of remakes. So that was the idea.
Roger.
And with that, I came across a film called from 1976. I'm just stuck in the 70s these last few episodes.
Yay.
You are.
The Witch Who Came from the Sea. We should.
I've never heard of it.
This Rotten Tomatoes has a critics at 80. This is an interesting one. The critics at 80, the crowd at 34.
Whoa.
And I think I know why.
Bit of a cliff.
Yeah, it's it's available on Arrow streaming.
What?
The only thing I seem to be watching anymore. I actually watched
This
it
episode
on,
brought to you again by Aerostream.
that's right. I watched the disc. I've got the box. It's part of a box set that I'll talk about a little bit later. But it's directed by Matt Simber, who's best known for 56 episodes of Glow, the 80s wrestling show. That Girl from Boston, that's the title, not a description.
Uh-huh.
And a documentary called Sex and Astrology. Man and Wife, an educational film for married adults.
Oh my god, I can only imagine the intro music to this. God.
Anyways, they're written by Robert Tom, who wrote The Defenders TV show and Death Race 2000. Stars Millie Perkins, who's has a long and pretty solid group of films, but okay, Necronom, Book of the Dead. Oh, it's iffy. But she's on the Elvis TV show, which I believe was the one that starred John Carpenter, I believe. I'm not sure. I didn't double check that.
That was a John Carpenter joint.
That was a
Kurt
TV
Russell.
movie, but there was an actual show then also.
Oh, was there?
Okay, maybe
Okay, that was
it's
different.
probably the TV show. And Wall Street and The Diary of Anne Frank. So, variety of films. And Lonnie Chapman and Vanessa Brown.
I got so excited for a moment.
Am I in this one?
In a movie in 1976?
In a
I'm
past
guessing no. So the movie starts off with this woman taking care of her two nephews on a beach. And it's kind of a muscle beach sort of thing where there's 3 or 4 guys working out who are incredibly jacked for the 70s, like Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of guys. That's not the part of their anatomy she's focusing on, however. It's lots of shots of these Speedos as the guys are lifting themselves up and down, and she seems very interested in watching them closely.
All right, calm it down, Eric. This is a family show.
And sure it is, yeah. And then it ends with all 3 of these guys looking like they've been killed by weird, grisly weightlifting machines.
Ooh.
Or whatever they're working on. At this point, it's kind of like, I don't think she actually killed anybody. I think this is in her head. That as they're leaving, they come across Dracula's tattoo, which looks like almost to the level. I think the film looks like it's shot in LA, but it looks like almost a parody level of, wow, this is a really rundown, horrible tattoo shop you don't want to go into. And then the guy comes out, the kid's like, oh, I want a tattoo. And the tattoo guy comes out, goes, ah, and the kids run away. And then it moves forward, and they're now with the kid's parents, and they're watching the Rams play on TV, and they're talking about this player as being the greatest of all time. So of course I'm like, never heard of this guy. Like I'm pretty sure it's a name they just made up, but which is good considering where the movie goes. Her and her sister getting in arguments about fatherhood and all that kind of stuff. Molly, the lead, seems very delusional in her representation of remembering of her father, which she is. The film has moments where you're like, God, is this real or is this her head? What is going on? And the first scene like that is her seeming to be with the football player they were talking about on TV and another football player. So it's her and 2 guys. And part of what makes it weird, it's not necessarily shot weird. It doesn't necessarily have any video effects, but the audio becomes a little warbly and echoey. It's not hard to understand. It's done well, but it's like, okay, what is going on here? So she's kind of fooling around with the guys, more like they're not doing anything, but they're getting ready to do something. And she's tying one of them up. Well, this other guy smokes what looks like the weirdest looking bong I've ever seen. It's like, kind of looks like a pipe, but he just stuck a joint in the top of it. It's smoking outside. It's like a messed up cigarette holder. What is this thing? But so she ties and gags both of them eventually, goes into the bathroom and comes back out complaining, this is going to take forever because you don't have a proper straight razor.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
And then proceeds to emasculate the men, shall we say?
Oh, no.
It's not terribly graphic, but you certainly know what's going on. And then the next day, she seemingly wakes up to the news of these 2 people being killed. And she's like, oh my God, who would kill these 2 beautiful men? What has happened is like, did she kill them or not? And it works. You're very much kind of going, oh, okay, she seems delusional enough that this could be completely made up, or it's actually something she really did. Here's where this movie starts to go really dark, and some flashbacks of her relationship with her father. First one's fairly innocuous. You're kind of like, well, maybe there's something weird going on there. But there's more flashbacks to come. And she has the very strange morality towards people on TV. Like anybody on TV is much more important and definitely much more worth listening to than anybody else that tells her anything. And so she becomes very obsessed with a guy on a razor blade commercial. And it's a weird commercial, not quite out of place for a 70s one, but it's very basically him and a woman are saying, well, let's not, I've shaved, so let's not go out. Let's stay home.
Oh my God.
All right.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And she gets talked into going to a party because she finds out this guy might be there. Party has, shall we say, an interesting encounter between her and the guy running the party. She doesn't, it's kind of, is he going to abuse her, or is she going to come back at him and end up killing him? She doesn't kill him, but she does beat the shit out of him. and an interesting scene from the 70s, which plays really strange because you know what actually happened in the room, but she's sitting around with a bunch of friends and she's trying to blame herself. And they're all saying, no, this should not have happened to you. You should not get attacked no matter what you do. You don't deserve to get attacked, which it's like, hey, great scene. But it's weird in the context of this film.
Sure.
Because anyway, so she ends up going back to Dracula's tattoo and getting this because she's not a good tattoo artist, man. It's really bad.
Oh.
Giant mermaid from mid-chest down to her waist, and starts going around saying, well, now I'm Molly the Little Mermaid.
Oh, my.
Like, oh my God. And one of the waitresses where Molly works is convinced that she knows who killed and why the football players were killed, because all football players are gay. She uses different language, but you get the idea. But it's funny. It's done almost in a humorous way, the way she's talking about it. And the police seem to be getting closer and figure out, but Molly still has no idea what's going on. And then we get another flashback.
Oh, God.
Of her coming home and finding her father sitting naked in the back of a closet.
All right.
Sounds like a normal Sunday afternoon.
She ends up dating the guy from the razor commercial.
Wait a second. What happens with the dad in the closet?
Well, that's the one flashback. There's still at least one more.
Okay.
We'll see how much of that I'll tell you about.
Waiting with bated breath.
But she goes out with the guy that who has that, and she has an illusion of him. Basically saying you need to kill me with this razor, and he starts to cut himself. Unfortunately, it's really not great effects. It's very obvious. It's just blood on the end of a razor. It's just no cutting at all, which is weird because there's some really gnarly violence earlier on. So she ends up going back, and is she killing him? Well, she's covered with blood, although she's doing it with the safety razor, the kind of Bic razor.
Oh,
no.
This is going to take forever.
That just sounds so mildly painful.
And let's see. Here's my note on the last flashback scene. Holy shit, the end of this movie is all kinds of wrong. No wonder Molly has issues to work through.
Oh.
Because it is, well, her dad was horrible to her, and I wouldn't say it's shown graphically, but for what the content is, I'd say it's graphic enough. It's like, wow. Okay, if this movie interests anybody at all, I'm about to spoil it, because the dark ending is so fucking dark. It is so, it's just unreal what happens at the end of the film. Her boyfriend, she's got a regular boyfriend through the whole thing that she's good with.
That's not the razor guy.
That's not the razor guy. He's kind of an on and off boyfriend. He'd probably be like a fuck buddy, would be what you'd call him probably now. And the waitress who thinks all the NFL players are gay is a friend of hers. And they realize that she's the person, she has been doing these killings. And so they decide, she's very, depressed and sad and upset. So they decide she needs to take a lot of extra pills. And Molly agrees with them. She's like, yes, I think I should. I think I should take all of these pills. Will you help me? I'm like, okay. And that's dark enough. The two nephews show up. And Molly looks at them and goes, will you guys help me take these pills? I'm like, oh my God. Like, okay, you're going to have her nephews help her commit suicide.
Sure.
It's just like, it popped up on a lot of Most Disturbing Films, And through most of them, I'm going, well, okay, yeah, guys getting castrated is disturbing, but it's definitely not unqualified any of. And then by the end, I'm going, oh, okay, yep, yeah, this is wow. So it's an incredibly well done movie, carried by the performance of Molly, the lead, is just stellar. And so, it's a happy little movie at the end.
1976, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
The notes and trivia. The tagline for this joyful little film.
Oh, God.
Molly really knows how to cut men down to size.
Ew. Oh, it's good, but geez.
It's part of, Arrow's got a series of 2 box sets of 3 films, which is underrated horror from America. And it's a series of films I feel like should be talked about, like Last House on the Left or Texas Chainsaw or something. And if this one's any indication of the other films on there, yes, they're right. This is, it's not a happy movie. It's a rough one to watch. I don't think it could ever reach because of some of the subject matter, I don't think it could ever reach the popularity, even of Last House on the Left, as dark and grim as that film is.
Hang on, Eric. I'm getting my pencil and paper. It's not a happy movie. Let me write this down.
Yep. Just in case you didn't get that already. The intro to the movie, the director calls it meditative. It's a 76 film. So yeah, it has a 76 movie pacing, although I never really felt bored just because her performance is so good and so weird. There's two DPs listed. See if you can figure out which one probably did most of the work. First guy listed, who's Ken Gibb, who directed Super Boobs and Nookie Court.
Oh my God. No.
Renegades TV show. And the uncredited DP, Dean Kundi.
Oh, Dean Kundi.
Who's DP'd on Halloween 1 through 3, Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, all the Back to the Future movies, Jurassic Park, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and more than 100 cinematography credits with 3 films currently in pre-production.
But did he do Super Boobs?
I mean,
I think that we know who the real cinematographer here is.
Considering it's an incredibly good-looking film and well-structured, I think it's probably not Super Boob Man. The film originally got a X rating from MPAA and had to have several cuts.
That should have been the tagline.
To get an R rating. And it was one of the 72 films banned by Britain as a video nasty, which, okay. And wasn't released in the UK until 2006 in an uncut form. The poster art is deeply deceiving. It is a cover from Warren Comics' Vampirella number 11 with art by Frank Frazetta.
Oh, wow.
The Witch, I think it's called The Witch. I looked up the original art, and it basically looks like they took that art, put on a new face, put in a new background. I mean, it has nothing to do with the film.
Does it show her like as a witch?
Not really.
Okay.
It's more like a, are you familiar with Frank Frazetta's work? He did a lot of Conan and things. It's more like a spirit, maybe a witch you might see in Conan. Certainly not a Salem.
More like a
witch.
Swords and Sandals style.
Yeah, exactly. So if you see the poster for this, it is just ridiculous compared to the film. At one point, Millie Perkins, the lead, was married to Dean Stockwell. Okay.
Your trivia is...
This is as trivial as it gets.
Right. This one is truly disturbing for me after reading the movie to find out the casting agent cast his own daughter to play the kid in the flashbacks. I'm like,
oh, why? That's so weird when you hear stuff like that.
We're going to have a little bit, remind me when we get to my movie. We're going to have a little bit of that in my movie.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yes. After your reaction to The Lady in White, I would recommend you avoid this film at all costs. And the disc did have a pretty good documentary interviewing Millie and the director and a lot of really well done. That's Arrow. So the production is top notch that they put together. So that was my happy entry into One and Done, and I know why it's never been remade and there's no room for a sequel.
Oh my God. I mean, I love the title. The title sounds great.
Yeah, it's a really well made movie. I'm going to remember it for a long time.
Like, I need hypnotherapy right now. Well, the movie that I picked out is about as far away from yours as possible. The family
Thank God.
dynamics are completely the opposite.
Oh, good.
So, and definitely a cheerier film, considering it's not necessarily cheery content. And that would be the 2006 film The Host.
Mr. Kim, formaldehyde, dirty formaldehyde. Pour him into the sink.
Still alive. Why didn't you contact the police or the military, a human rights organization, something?
That's a good film.
It's a great film. And, it's funny because you put out the one and done concept, and I started kind of racking my brain trying to figure out films. And I am sure there are many, many amazing qualifying movies. But the first 10 I thought of, I was like, and this one had a sequel I never saw. And this one is based on something I didn't realize. So it was definitely, once I came across this and remembered this existed, I was like, I have not seen this since college. I've got to check it out. For those of you who don't know, this is the South Korean The Host, not the Stephanie Meyer.
What? Oh, jeez. I'm glad I didn't know that to confuse it.
Oh, yes. I read that book and saw that version of The Host. And boy, howdy, if you thought that Stephanie, if you gave her a pass for not misogynistic and abusive towards women, Twilight definitely is fine, then you were wrong. No. Well, hold on.
I'm looking at the news right here. The Host 2 gets director Myung-Chan Park. So,
what does it say? The words 2014 on there?
I don't see what.
Do you know what year it is, sir? Because I'll get there. I will get there. It's like the last thing I'm going to say, but it's in there.
All right.
All
I'm
right.
going to let this slide.
So this film, interestingly, Rotten Tomatoes 93% for critics. So extremely high. 72% for audience. Which sucks, but I think it's something that Eric's mentioned before, where it's a foreign film. It's a foreign language film. So I guess people are like, oh no, the crazy monster is not enough.
Look, if you were sitting with 10 of your friends and 7 of them said they like this movie, that's a pretty good.
Yeah, that is true.
So, pretty good.
That's not too bad. 7 and 0.2. One's on the, one's worth convincing. The director of this, of course, is the amazing Bong Joon-ho. Let me know if I said that wrong.
Yeah, I'll let you know that.
If anyone is like, no, that's not the right pronunciation. So he won the Oscar, obviously, last year for Parasite. Just an incredible director. We all know him from things like not only Mother, Snowpiercer, Oakjaw, and Parasite, but also other films like Memories of Murder. I'm definitely going to hunt down this one called Tokyo, where he did a segment, and Barking Dogs Never Bite, which is supposed to be amazing. I have not yet seen that one either. He actually does a little more writing than he does directing. He's written all of his directing projects or most of them. So it's nice that he has that kind of multi-part creative talent. That being said, he did have 2 writers who were helping him out on this, but I want to say they had a real light hand because both of them have only ever done 3 films total. So one did another film called Stray Dogs and Spy Girl, and the other did something called Undercover and Poror the Snow Fairy, an animated adventure. So don't know that they really had much other than probably a spell check.
Wow.
The cast of this, you have like kind of a nice cast of 6 characters that are the main characters. So you have 3 siblings, a father, and a daughter. Okay, so 5. But it's a kind of family dynamic, and they each pull their own weight. The lead is this kind of bumbling idiot, good for nothing brother / son who helps his father run this sort of beachside or riverside food stand where they bring food out to picnickers, and it's interesting. It's obviously definitely like a South Korean thing. It's not something that I've encountered over here, but it's something that you would imagine if you went to a seaside town. You would walk up there and be like, I want a corn dog. I'm at blanket number 6. And then they come out with a corn dog, but with squid. So switch that out. So that's played by, it's credited as Song Kang-ho, but his name is also Kang Ho Song because Asian names are amazing and I just don't fully understand them. But he plays the character Park Gang-doo. He's been in quite a few films, 34 credits. He's a favorite to be used by Bong Joon-ho and has been in almost all of his movies, including Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, which is not one of his films, but it's something we all know. Memories of Murder, Lady Vengeance, The Host, Snowpiercer, Parasite. He's done a lot of TV, and he's pretty well known in South Korea. We also have Bae Donna, who plays Park Nam-ju, the sister. She's been in 35 things, including Sense8, Jupiter Ascending, and Cloud Atlas. So she's crossed the pond. Park Hae-lee plays Park Nam-il, the brother. He's been in 33 things. The only one I knew is Memories of Murder. Byun Hee-bong plays Hee-bong, the father, and he's been in 41 things. I suspect he's pretty well known as well, but he was also recognizably in Okja and Memories of Murder. So obviously, Bong really likes to use the same people over and over. It just, I think, from the sounds of it just makes his life a lot easier, and he can spend more time on the other things in the film instead of just spending all the time trying to get the actors where they need to go. And then last but not least, we have a really talented Park Hyun-seo, played by Ko Ah-sung. So I will not be referring to these people's names. I will just be calling them their roles throughout the rest of this because I don't want to keep making people feel bad. But she plays the daughter. She's been in 21 things, including a more recent Life on Mars TV show in 2018. Lots and lots of TV, and also was in Snowpiercer. And she's just awesome. She does a great job. So the story of The Host, well, it's not about a group of friends who try to do a seance on the internet. It's not about a alien that takes over a girl's body and then lets her boyfriend beat her up. Instead, I just love that film. Instead, we've got the plot following a creature that kind of gets accidentally made and released into the Han River and terrorizes South Korea. So, whoops. Yeah, a scientist in the year 2000 is working in a lab and demands for his assistant to pour 40 plus bottles of formaldehyde down the drain because the bottles had a layer of dust on them. The assistant protests, but his boss won't have any of it and is basically like, nope, do it, bye. So the assistant does it. Cut to the year 2002. Two men are fishing in the Han River and they find a small, strange aquatic creature, which they suspect is some kind of mutated fish or life form. They catch it in a glass and then drop the glass and it goes off on its merry way. Cut to the year 2006. And that's when we meet a dopey, sleepy, lazy guy who's like our lead, who's basically asleep on the counter of this food stand. And people are just used to him being this way. They come up, they buy their thing, they move his head up, totally asleep, off of some magazines. It's got change under there. They grab the correct change, put his head back down on top of the coins, and walk off. So this is who we're dealing with. This is somebody who's essentially as much of a loser as you can get. But a loser with a heart. His father, who's super eccentric, but also very sweet and hardworking, who actually runs the stand, is helping him out. And then we also meet his daughter at the same time, who shows up in a school uniform. She's sarcastic. She's a bit dark, but she's super quick-witted. She's very young. And she really wants a new phone. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry. I've got savings for you. I'm ready. We're almost there. We're almost to the new phone for you." Because she's so embarrassed. She doesn't want to pull it out. And he brings out this change jar. And she looks at it and she's like, "That's like $3. This is not going to get a new phone." He's like, no, we're almost there. We're almost there. So he obviously loves his daughter very much, even though he's just not a good father. He doesn't have the tools to do it. In the meantime, they run into the back of their little camper thing, and on the TV is his sister / the father's daughter, obviously, and she's doing an Olympic trial for archery, and about to win potentially the gold medal. So they're watching her, but something happens. She just holds on to the bow too long and doesn't release in time. The timer runs out, and even though she hits the middle, she has to go home with a bronze. So we have this great setup of our characters early on, of their positives, their negatives, and just a really good family dynamic right off the bat.
Nice.
So the son is asked to go and correct an order that he got wrong, and he runs out with the squid that he ate a leg off of, because that's the kind of guy he is. That's the thing. Toasted squid. Nom nom. He runs it out to a blanket and he sees all these people standing at the edge of the water, and he's wondering what's going on, and he's trying to give this dude his food, and the dude's like not paying attention. He's looking at the water. And they see out in the river this giant creature that's emerging. And somebody throws a beer can at it, and it grabs the beer and pulls it under, and everyone's like, ooh, let's throw stuff at it and see what happens. All this stuff gets rained down upon it, just all these items, and the creature kind of sits down there for a minute, and then all of a sudden it just jumps out of the water and starts eating everybody. So magical. So chasing them down, just destroying them. Really magical moment. He's kind of falling all over the place, and therefore the creature just keeps missing him because he's just such a clumsy oaf. There is a really harrowing moment where a bunch of people go into one of the little riverside structures and kind of hide themselves. They've closed the door, and the monster's running around, and the monster just opens the door and just goes straight in there, and all you see is just blood and banging, pouring out, and the other side is there's another door, but it's locked, and you're like, oh my god, this movie is dark. So, of course, our main character is running, and he sees his daughter, and so he grabs her hand and lifts her up, and we go into slow-mo, and they're running together, and they stumble, and then he gets back up, grabs her hand, keeps going, and then all of a sudden this other man runs alongside him, grabs the other hand of this person he's carrying, and off they go, and it's not his daughter, and he turns around and he looks, and his daughter is just getting herself up off the grass. Oh, hard, so I'm gonna cry. And he sees the monster barreling towards her, and there's just nothing you can do, and it grabs her with its I think it's its tail, and it runs off into the water with her. And this big bumbling guy tries to chase after her, but he's slow. He jumps in the water. He gets about 5 feet out. And the thing's already across the other side and gone. And so it's just assumed that the daughter has died. Cut to, everyone has been quarantined, and also at a funeral. So there's all these kind of pictures that are up of all the dead, I guess, very quickly done. And there's also an official walking around being like, oh, how close did you get to this thing? And we start to get a little sense of the humor that's in this. For example, the official's like, you guys, there's like something going on, but I can't really explain it. We're going to wait for the TV to explain it to you. So I'm just going to turn it on, and the TV starts to play with the news, and it never really happens. And he's like, don't worry about it. Could you guys just go over there? And you're just like, oh my God, what's happening right now? We then meet the whole family, because they all arrive to pay tribute to the lost daughter. So you have the lead main guy, you have his father, you also have the Olympic bronze medalist sister who shows up, and another child, their brother, who also comes. He's kind of a middle management type. They're all, crying and sobbing in an incredible scene where they are just going freaking nuts with emotion. And people start and come over and take pictures of them because they're just crying and sobbing so loudly. And like, they look like they're wrestling each other, just flailing on the ground. And apparently, one fun fact, that scene was improv. So it was just really impressive. So basically what's happened is there's this idea that anyone who came in contact with a creature needs to be quarantined because there's some kind of virus that's happening. So the whole family gets quarantined. And while they're under quarantine, our lead guy's phone goes off. And who's on the other line but his daughter? I'm in a sewer somewhere. Come and get me. Now we start the race for the entire family to try and break out of quarantine. Either some of them try to convince people with money, with heartache. Just do the test as quickly as possible and then let me out. And they're like, no. Not only can you not leave, but our lead apparently opened his mouth and like swallowed some of the spit of the monster. So they're like, no, you are really not leaving. Whoa. So the father sets up this kind of heist where he pays somebody basically everything he owns for them to help them, for some dudes, help them escape in a white van. So they get out of there and they start their great search for the daughter, who is somewhere in the sewer system. And thus we begin this really interesting family drama / comedy / monster movie of these people trying to hunt down this girl across the entire Han River, having no idea where she is other than it's a large sewer. The character development in this is really neat. There's a lot of twists and turns where different family members are separated or are injured or are in custody. You get to see each character really shine all the way through trying to rescue this girl. I don't really want to give away the ending, other than I'll say that it's by the same guy who did Parasite, and you can see some of the similarities in there, but just throw a giant monster in there. There's a lot of kind of class stuff going on. There's a lot of, like I said, family dynamics happening, and there's a really good turnaround where near the end they all have to work together, even though they're so different, to try and kill and take down this creature. I love this movie. The writing is incredible. The fish, I think, was a really good choice of design as a giant monster, mostly because the CGI does not age well. So it being like fishy and scaly is pretty helpful. Also, it's heartbreaking. The acting is it's just so top notch that even though it's a comedy, it almost makes it harder when the hard things happen. Watching his heartache, knowing that he couldn't save his daughter, it was just like impossible to sit through. He's just so visibly destroyed by it. But somehow also at the exact same time, hilarious. So there's just really, really great stuff going on. I totally recommend this film and checking it out. Just very nice, interesting, authentic little family relationships. The only bad thing really about this movie is the CGI sucks. Like I said, it just does not age well.
What was it, 2006?
It was also not great in 2006.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. And there is kind of a reason for that. So this film was given a huge budget in South Korea. So it was given 10 billion South Korean bucks, whatever those are, which is just over 10 million US dollars. So despite that, he really was able to stretch the money in a lot of ways. But unfortunately, one of those things was the special effects were really, really minimal. They actually did get the creature designed and molded in New Zealand by the Weta Workshop, which you guys might know as Peter Jackson's company. The animatronics were done by John Cox's Creature Workshop, and the CGI was done by The Orphanage, which had done a lot of the effects for Day After Tomorrow. So they really tried to put their money in a good place, but you see the creature so much throughout the film that I just don't think it stretched very far. They did actually, in fact, film a lot of it by the Han River, which meant that all of the cast and crew had to get tetanus shots.
Oh, jeez.
Han River, man, was a rough spot. They had to deal with the weather changes, which included the temperatures freezing, and they had to go in and break up the river, which was basically frozen sewage water at that point.
Blech.
Yep. When it got hot and windy, the water would evaporate and the silt would turn into dust and blow into their faces as they were
Lovely.
filming. Yeah, it's grotty to think about. Really, really tough. However, this is as of March 2009, so who knows if this has changed now, but it was the highest grossing film in South Korea, selling a total of 13 million tickets. This meant that over 20% of South Korea population watched the movie. Although some were people who went and saw it multiple times. So it was a cultural phenomenon to the point where they actually have a statue of the creature on the side of the Han River.
I love it.
Nice.
Just so cool. I love that dedication to film. Bong Joon-ho has expressed some frustration when making the film and stating that when you first think of making a monster movie, you have to realize that a lot of people may be down on you because there's a big prejudice against such films. He described that after he had conceived of the idea and told his friends about it, they looked at him like he was a crazy person and told him, "Don't do it. Don't waste your talent." So Bong Joon-ho was disheartened by these comments, which he described as little wounds to his heart, and then proceeded to write the rest of the script in secret.
And then he called every one of them afterwards and said, "Up yours."
Yeah, completely. The monster was inspired by an article about a deformed fish with an S-shaped spine caught in the Han River. He wanted it to look like an actual mutated fish creature rather than a more fantastical monster. So in the opening scene, this is reflected in the fisherman catching that fish, which is kind of based on an actual thing that happened, which I'll get more into in a minute. The co-writer and director, I guess, Bong Joon-ho, I don't know why it listed it that way, and the designer of the creature nicknamed it Steve Buscemi, based on the actor's screen persona and the way he acted in Fargo. Pretty good. Politically, the film was in part inspired by an incident in 2000 in which a Korean mortician working in the U.S. military in Seoul reported that he was ordered to dump a large amount of formaldehyde down the drain. In addition to its environmental concerns, this caused some antagonism towards the United States. The American military station in South Korea is portrayed as uncaring about the effects of their activities have on the locals. The chemical agent used by the American military to combat the monster in the end of the movie is called Agent Yellow, which is clearly a thinly veiled reference to Agent Orange, but is also used as a satirical kind of tool. The director said, it's a stretch to simply say that The Host is an anti-American film, but there's certainly a metaphor and political commentary about the U.S. But that isn't to say that he doesn't also make fun of North Korean authorities, as well as South Korean government and bureaucrat. There's a lot. Nobody is safe from this film. He goes hard. He even went as far as to incorporate footage from the Iraq War in the film's news footage for two reasons. First, it allowed the story to progress, but it also gave the director the ability to include political satire, as maybe the virus isn't real. Maybe it's a rumor. just as there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So I was like, that's a deep cut, yo. This film was received incredibly well. It's actually one of Quentin Tarantino's top 20 favorite films released between 92 and 2009. Sequels.
Okay.
Let's talk about the sequels, guys. Twitch Film announced in November 3rd, 2009, that a video game was planned to be released as a multi-platform first-person shooter. As of 2020, no game has been released, and it is assumed to be vaporware, which basically means a product or an idea that's pitched but never actually happens. Sequel. In June 2007, it was announced that a 3D film, alternately referred to as a sequel or prequel in news reports, was in progress with a different director. The budget for The Host 2 was announced at close to US $12 million and would be based on a script by webcomic artist Kang Fuji. Fuji? There's a thing on full. King full. There's a thing on my screen. It was blocking it. An FX demo reel debuted at the Tokyo International Film Festival in 2010, and the projected release date was summer 2012 announced. However, as of 2020, there's no other updates, and the project is considered as a status unknown. A remake in November 2008 was announced by Universal Studios, with Gore Verbinski producing, Mark Poirier writing, and the first-time director Frederick Bond directing. The film was set for a 2011 release. However, the production remains in so-called development hell. So I love this because people have tried so hard, and it doesn't need anything. No one needs to remake this. No sequels need to happen. It's fine. It's great. It's perfect. We can leave it alone. And apparently no one has managed to, so maybe it's cursed.
It's also such a Korean movie that remaking it in America would just turn it into an American monster movie, and it would have none of the bite.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's so many culturally specific moments within this, just all throughout, sprinkled, that it would be completely watered down.
Sort of like what happened with The Grudge when they tried to do the U.S. It's like, this doesn't translate
it's
at
like
all
nothing.
as a story.
Yeah. Although it's interesting that Gore Verbinski was attached because he had great success with The Ring.
True.
So
that's probably why they had him attached.
Good choice. I own this movie, and I don't think I've seen it since I bought it when it first came out. So I should probably give it another rewatch.
Same. I was in the exact same boat. I was like, I've owned the DVD of this for years and never actually watched it. So of course I streamed it.
As I say, I streamed it now. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to watch a higher quality than that dumb.
DVD now just looks crap on a HD TV.
Bad.
Well, I thought for sure that I was going to do a David Lynch film for this. I felt like, boy, this is going to be the easiest one I've ever done because David Lynch, right? And my favorite movie by David Lynch is Wild at Heart. So imagine my surprise to find out that that was not only based on a book, but has a film sequel.
Yep.
Does it?
So yeah, with the same characters, not directed by Lynch, of course.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, well, that's out. But I'm onto something here with David Lynch. So I'm going to do Eraserhead. And then I watched that fucking movie again. And as much as I love it, I was like, this movie.
How do you talk about it?
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's, you know, on the surface, it's very clear what's going on in it. But it's so fucking weird that I was like, oh, there's no way if I try to talk about this weird fucking baby and all of this shit and the hair. So I chose from 2007, Planet Terror.
Say a prayer for your old man. No dead bodies for Dada tonight.
What happened to your arm?
I got bit.
Bit by what?
If I told you, you probably wouldn't believe me.
They're not living.
What was that?
They're not dead.
The hell are the bodies?
They're gone. They're not stopping.
What the hell is going on?
Jerry.
This infection will spread all over the world. You want the story? I'll spin it for you quick.
We got a face full of DC too. But the laws of science are broken.
Right now, the soldiers are turning.
Don't taunt me, Tramp.
Once that happens, they'll tear us apart whether they want to or not.
The side effect is terror.
I swore to my men that I'd do everything in my power to keep them alive.
never had a choice.
Now, the last hope for humanity.
I'm gonna go get Jerry. Fine, but we're taking my car.
I'm riding with you.
Rests in the hands of a few.
I have no leg.
I made you something. Stand. Up on. No, the other way. No, the other way.
Chop them off.
How much ammo we got?
Holy shit.
If anyone comes to the door, I want you to shoot them.
What if it's Dad?
Gonna eat your brain.
Especially if it's your dad.
Robert Rodriguez, Planet Terror, a Grindhouse feature.
That's not a David Lynch film at all.
You're absolutely right, smarty pants. I could find no budget information on this, and a box office of only 11.5 million worldwide,
What?
which seems weird to me.
It was such a knockout, that double bill.
That's the information I got. Rotten Tomatoes, the critics have it at 76%. The audience has it at 77%.
Very agreed upon numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
Written and directed by Robert Rodriguez, who you'd know from El Mariachi, Desperado, The Faculty, Dust Till Dawn, Sin City, and just a ton of other movies.
Yeah.
Starring Rose McGowan, who you'd know from Scream, Charmed, and being a very angry person in general. Freddie Rodriguez from Poseidon, Lady in the Water. But my favorite...
Every once in a while, there's a moment I wish we had video for people to watch. And Vanessa's had two moments so far this evening.
Yeah, I know.
wish we had video for. The
I
one
do
was
that.
scratching on the... and then there was another one right
I
there.
do that for Vanessa.
Yeah, Rose has been through some shit, yo.
I get it.
Let her be mad.
I
It's
get it.
fair.
Look, she's very vocal, right? Everybody's let her be
Because
mad.
no one's listened for so long.
I just...
They tried to burn her to the ground. It's fine. Whatever. Go on.
Freddie Rodriguez, who I love from the movie Bottle Shop. And then a cast of hundreds. I'll just name off a couple of people. Josh Brolin, Jeff Fahey, Michael Biehn, Bruce Willis, Fergie, Quentin Tarantino, Michael Parks, Danny Trejo, Cheech Marin, and just the list goes on and on of people you know.
I forgot there were so many famous people in this.
Yeah, it doesn't quite save this movie. I think 76% for this is super high.
Yeah.
This is a so-so movie, and it is made less because of Tarantino's involvement. I think plays very... This is, we were making fun of people who like, I don't like this movie because it's mean. I'm like, yeah, it's a horror film, so get over it. This is a mean-spirited movie that just has some scenes that are just incredibly uncomfortable. So we meet Cherry Darling at the beginning, in the opening credits, in fact, as she's dancing to the credits and everything. And it is a really cool, sexy dance scene with names popping up and all this stuff, and ends with her crying on stage. And she goes into the dressing room, and the owner of the bar comes and tells her, hey, you got to stop crying on stage, which is kind of a funny line, and she says that she needs to make a real change in her life. She quits her job. And while walking home, it's middle of the night, she's walking on this kind of deserted highway road. Suddenly, several military trucks pass her, and they pass close enough that she has to throw herself into a bunch of trash cans. She brushes herself off, and we cut to the military base a couple miles away, and we see this showdown between scientists and soldiers, all fighting over these mysterious canisters. Did I put who? I didn't put who the guy is who is the scientist who's fighting, but he played the Iraqi soldier in Lost. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Super handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He plays kind of a slimy. Hard to say what he is. He is a bit of a scientist and also kind of a con man, and he's dressed really sleazy. And he likes to carry a canister of his enemy's testicles.
Ew.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Power to the nuts.
Right. These soldiers, of course, are led by Bruce Willis, who shows up, and they all start shooting, and he wants whatever is in these canisters, but what he doesn't realize is they put a hole in one of the canisters, and everybody starts zombifying. Like immediately. As soon as they breathe this, their skin starts bubbling, and they're like, bleh.
I remember very little of this
Same.
film.
I was thinking the same thing. I think I saw it twice in theaters.
I'm going to like brace through this because there is so much going on in this film that it would feel like a Vanessa description if I tried to tell you everything.
I'm trying to get better, guys. I'm working on it.
Meanwhile, Cherry has stopped at the local diner where Jeff Fahey works. And she runs into a large number of our cast, like sheriffs and cooks and all these people who are going to be part of this movie, but including Freddie Rodriguez, who plays El Rey, who is her ex-lover and very concerned with the fact that she left and took his jacket.
I've definitely dated that guy.
Yeah, but he keeps saying, he took my jacket, and she starts getting annoyed, and then finally says, did you check in the pocket? And she's like, no. How many years has this been? She hasn't put her hand in the pocket. She puts her hand in the pocket. She pulls out an engagement ring.
Oh, I did not date that guy.
Also, meanwhile, at the hospital, we start to see the effects of the zombie invasion with people coming in all infected and gross and melting and dripping and everything. And we meet a psychotic doctor, played by Josh Brolin. His wife, who is planning to leave him, she's having an affair with Fergie, and he has found out about it. And this is kind of a plot point that winds through the rest of the movie, because as she's trying to escape and deal with the zombies, he's chasing after her. And of course, he's become a zombie too. And so these zombies all kind of have their minds still. So they're not mindless zombies. Get it? They're mindful zombies. What do you think of that?
Very Fido.
Meanwhile, again, El Rey has agreed to drive Cherry to the bus station because she has a dream of becoming a comedian in L.A. And he says, but you're not funny. And she says, that's what I keep telling everybody.
That's not funny.
Crickets.
Yeah, it's not a good joke.
They are soon beset upon zombies. He has to swerve the truck, and they drag her off, and he goes chasing after her, and he gets to her and saves her, but not before they have feasted on her leg. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So he then drags her to the hospital. The cops all hate El Rey. They know him, and Michael Biehn in particular hates him for some reason. We are then told later on that El Rey, who is kind of a punk-looking kid, I mean, Freddie Rodriguez in 2007 looked like he was probably 28. He looks like he's about 16, and we find out that he has got some kind of secret. He's like top secret military and knows all about these canisters and all of this shit. And it's just like, oh boy, this is. The cops all hate him, and this all goes the way you expect it to until the cops finally see the zombies for themselves when they attack the hospital, and the cops pitch in to help. One of the cops is who's that asshole makeup special effects guy that everybody hates?
Savini?
Oh. I didn't say it. He's there, and they're blowing the shit out of everybody. These zombies are very gooey when they get hit by bullets. There's a lot of blood splatter, and it's a very thick, viscous blood. It's kind of fun. Everyone winds up back at the diner to hole up and make a stand, and even though Cherry has had her leg amputated, she and Ray have passionate, loving sex in the back room.
Oh, that's a very open-minded moment.
Mm-hmm. And then the film does the one thing that I really enjoy. The projector burns through the film, And we get a title card that says missing reel. And when it starts back up again, we are in the middle of the end of the third act. And we are in this big climactic fight scene. There's all sorts of explosions going on. At one point, the guy who's piloting the helicopter tilts it down at just the right angle to plow through a bunch of zombies. And it's a lot of fun. And also, Cherry gets her leg replaced with a machine gun grenade launcher and no visible way to actually use it, but it fires apparently mentally or something like that. She just points it and it goes where she says to go. It's all very over the top. The movie is almost great, and that's what makes me so angry about it. There's Tarantino shows up as a military officer who, when he finds out, well, he's got control of these people and he's got them, quarantined and all of this stuff. And he likes to then rape the women that he gets. And at one point, there's just a very uncomfortable scene where he's going to rape one of the crazy babysitter twins. Oh. Remember them? Mm-hmm. And he's gotten the zombie mist on him, and his balls then start to melt in a truly disgusting scene because you get to see it. But he's still intent on raping the women, and it's just it's played for laughs, and it really doesn't. It just doesn't feel right. There's something about it that was really offensive, and you guys know me. I do not get offended by anything. And I was just like, this has no place in this movie. It's just really, really bad taste. And then it goes into a very typical kind of thing where, it could have been set up for a perfect sequel. And I don't know. As I was watching this, I was like, God damn it. There's a lot to like in this. And then a lot not to like. I think Robert Rodriguez is a good director and a bad writer.
Oh, sure.
And he doesn't quite. Well, he doesn't like doing 3-act structure or anything like that. He's kind of all over the place, and I admire him so much for what he was able to do with El Mariachi, and then I love Desperado. I think that's one of my favorite stupid movies.
Mm-hmm. And then just the existence as a filmmaker he's carved out for himself.
Oh yeah,
basically building his own studio in his backyard. He can shoot and from beginning to end make a movie on the gear he owns now. It's like, dude,
I think there are very few people who I am a fan of Robert Rodriguez, although I don't like much of his movies. I'm a fan of the person he is.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of trivia here. Rodriguez first came up with the idea for Planet Terror while making The Faculty. He told Elijah Wood and Josh Hartnett that zombie movies were about to come back in a major way. This is 1998. So he had like a line on the Dawn of the Dead remake and 28 Days Later and all this stuff. Because that wasn't until 2002.
Yeah, sounds right.
So anyway, he wanted to be there first when it happened. So he prepared a script. But he only got as far as 30 pages before he got stuck. And then he got attached to a bunch of other projects. The zombie craze happened just as he predicted, and he was like, motherfucker.
Damn you, Zach.
This bit is about Josh Brolin. Joel and Ethan Coen refused to give Josh Brolin an audition for the role of Llewellyn in their movie No Country for Old Men. So he asked Rodriguez to help him shoot an audition tape while Brolin was filming his scenes. Rodriguez shot and Tarantino directed the tape, which was shot using a $950,000 digital camera.
Oh my God.
Marley Shelton, who was playing Brolin's wife in the movie, agreed to read the lines for Llewellyn's wife, Carlin Jean. And he, of course, got the role.
Yeah.
So,
rightly so.
Yeah. When you can get your audition tape directed by Tarantino and shot on $1 million digital camera,
then you're
cool.
probably worth that.
Right. John Carpenter, Vanessa, are you familiar?
Go on.
Okay. Carpenter, who composes the scores to his own films, was originally chosen to compose the score to Planet Terror.
Oh, interesting.
But Rodriguez ended up taking over the job as composer instead, although excerpts from Escape from New York do appear throughout the film score.
Oh, interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Huh.
And if you have ever read like Rebel Without a Cause or anything,
Rebel Without a Crew.
Rebel Without a Crew.
Yeah.
Escape from New York was his film. That was the film that inspired him to become a filmmaker and all that. So I thought that was neat. Here's interesting one, Eric.
Yes.
Rose McGowan
Uh-huh.
originally suggested her friend Ray Phillips Santos for the role of El Rey, but
Ray.
instead it went to Freddie Rodriguez. Ray Phillips Santos appears in Eric and my film, Thing on the Doorstep.
That's right.
Oh,
Briefly.
that's cool.
Yeah. So
Oh,
that was
nice.
very strange to see this name pop up.
Mm-hmm.
In the scene at the beginning of the movie in the strip club, Cherry is zipping up the boot of her right leg when she says, "I need a dramatic change in my life." And that is the leg which is later amputated.
Beautiful. Foreshadowing.
Here we go, Eric. You know how your casting agent of your film cast his own daughter for this?
Yes.
Do you guys remember in this scene that the wife of Josh Brolin, who is played by Marley Shelton, she is leaving him, and she goes and gets her son, and then she's going to go to her dad's place, and all of this shit is going down now. So she makes the son stay in the car, but then she hands him a gun and says, "If anybody but me comes, shoot them." And he says, "Okay." She shuts the door. She walks away. We see a flash in the car, and the kid has killed himself.
Jesus.
Yeah, this is one of the other scenes that I was just like, Jesus, this did not have to be in here. Anyway, Rodriguez found the scene where Dr. Dakota Block leaves son Tony in the car with a gun to be so chilling to film. He didn't want to use anyone else's children to play Tony, so he used his own son, Rebel Rodriguez, so he wouldn't feel as bad killing a child.
Oh my God. Oh. And that kid went on to have a lot of therapy.
Apparently, there is one cut of the movie that doesn't have him dying, and there's one copy of that cut, and that is the copy that is at the Rodriguez house.
I was going to say,
adorable.
He's pretty good with his kids, right? Like,
Well, he's got an
them
entire franchise based on his kid's idea with that Shark Boy and Lava Girl or whatever.
It's just such a scene that didn't need to be there.
Yeah,
I was like, boy, it was uncomfortable. Because the kid is like 6.
Yeah, it doesn't even make super good sense.
Finally, the total body count of Planet Terror, 281.
Beautiful.
El Rey has 52 kills. Cherry Darling has 50 kills. And Sheriff Haig, played by Michael Biehn, has 13 kills. And then, I can't do math, but I don't think that adds up to 281. So the rest must be other people in the film.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Probably. It's a large cast.
It is. There's a lot going on.
Fuck, this movie. Almost great.
Yeah.
And I know there are people listening right now who fucking love this movie, and I get it. There's a lot to like in it, but not for me.
Yeah, both of those films I felt were close to being really good double bill of movies and just kind of missed the mark.
The idea of doing grindhouse style films and then having the trailers in between and stuff like that, that is a neat idea. And they do pull that off. This does feel like a movie from, the early 80s, late 70s. Tarantino's feels a little bit more like that. But I think Death Proof is maybe the least of his films. I think it's so-so, and, I don't know.
I always enjoyed Death Proof, but maybe that's just the female in me enjoying those girls just killing it. I don't know, but it's been a while since I've seen it. So.
No, and Kurt Russell is amazing in it.
Yeah,
the women are amazing. I just feel like there's zero story to it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. It's definitely both of them. I think suffer from that truncated situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the clout and the money to go, hey, you want to do something cool? Let's do this. So they did.
Yeah.
Anyway, who's got the next subgenre?
I believe that would be me.
Oh, what are we doing?
It's been a little while. So, yeah.
A couple episodes.
It's been at least 2 episodes since my turn. So I really love this thing that keeps happening in movies that I thought I hated, but I think I really like, which is the loop structure, or not just time loop, but let's say something just happens again. It doesn't necessarily need to, like in The Matrix, for example, right? You get the deja vu, something that you see repeated, or in Memento, where like he's remembering, but he's living at the same time. So some kind of mirroring or doubling up of something. So I'm going to call it loop, but it doesn't have to be strictly loop.
Doesn't have to be Groundhog's Day kind of thing.
Does not have to be straight up Groundhog's Day.
I'm picking Groundhog's Day.
Oh, all right, sure.
Enjoy.
We'll just let you talk and explain that one. I'll just cut that segment out.
All right, guys, that sounds fun to me. Many thanks to everybody again for all the likes, the shares, the money, the just being awesome people.
You guys rock.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yep.
And we will really appreciate it again 1 week from today when we come back and talk about loops.
See ya.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Margaret. Our theme music is Strange Aeons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Aeons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.